EMDR. So you're telling me I need to go back and relive the traumatic event? I'm trying to avoid the pain. All they're going to do is a little hocus pocus. I'm going to feel good for a week and I'm going to go back to who I was. Does EMDR really work? Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? This week's episode of Therapy Thursdays, I want to talk about EMDR and my experience with EMDR. EMDR is short for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's a long word, a lot of terms. Basically, it is a therapeutic technique that's designed to help people deal with traumatic events, PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, or post-traumatic stress disorder. But basically, it's to help people who have gone through traumatic events in their life. And I've gone through several. And as most of you know, I've been through 3 years of pretty intense psychotherapy, and it's helped me tremendously. In that time, I've had 2 different therapists, and they both have had me go through EMDR sessions. So I kind of wanted to just give my opinion on it. A lot of people are afraid to try new things because, one, they are ignorant on the topic. They just don't know anything about it. And number 2, they don't know anyone who's gone through it, so they're hesitant to try something new on their own that nobody else has talked about. And on the topic of mental health, it's already a societal stigma. Like, people already feel weird and bad about talking about mental health, yet we all struggle with mental health in one way or another, and it's a normal part of life, and we need to be more comfortable talking about it. So that's honestly one of the things that I'm hoping that Therapy Thursdays helps to instill and open up a world of comfort when discussing mental health issues. Like, it's okay to talk about this stuff. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad human. Like, it makes you human, actually, because, again, part of the human experience is going through the ups and downs, the bad and the good. Like, we can't acknowledge and appreciate the good without acknowledging and appreciating the bad, too. But my understanding of EMDR, it's not an exhaustive understanding. Like, I definitely suggest for you to go online, search for what EMDR is, and trials about EMDR and experiences. And there's actually EMDR institutes, but definitely go out and search more. But I just wanted to share a little bit of my experience with it. EMDR for me, I tried it in 2 different ways. The first way I tried it was with headphones on. So I put on this pair of headphones, and there's this pinging noise that would go back and forth between the left and the right ears. The ping would be louder and softer. It would be faster back and forth. And basically, this ping would go back and forth with random patterns that you can't guess, and somehow the pinging would stimulate your brain some way or another. That didn't work for me just because I'm a musician and I use my ears for so much, and when I listen to something like that, all my focus and attention goes to that. So it's really hard for me to focus on a traumatic event if I'm listening to something, because it makes me think of music, and I like to focus when that happens. And speaking of which, I actually just released a music video on this same channel called Sperm Donor, and the premise of the video is an actual EMDR session. You'll see me with my therapist, and I'll go into the session and relive memories of traumatic events that I've gone through, and at the end, show healing. And that was a description of how I went through the EMDR process, which was great. And hopefully it stirs up a desire for you and people watching this video to want to experience EMDR for yourself. So the second way, with the second therapist that I went through EMDR, which was actually the one that was beneficial, that I learned something from and I gained something from, was with paddles. So these paddles, instead of the pinging and the noise, which would distract me personally, these paddles would vibrate. And the same way the pinging noise would go back and forth, these paddles' vibrations would go back and forth from the left to the right hand. They would increase in intensity, be harder or softer vibrating, and then they would go back and forth faster, slower, basically at random patterns. So you can't guess the motion. And again, I don't know all the science behind it, but somehow these vibrations stimulate your brain. And then in that process, you actually have to go back to the traumatic event that you experienced, and you're kind of reliving it. That's very scary for a lot of people. Most people want to avoid the traumatic event. I want nothing to do with that. I want to bury it and pretend it never happened and never existed. People want to distract themselves. They want to numb themselves. They don't want to feel the pain. The only way to experience true healing is to face your pain. That is it, point blank. And EMDR is a great way to do that. So basically, you close your eyes, and again, this is my experience. Other therapists may do it in different ways. But you're basically reliving the event, and you're experiencing all the emotions again, and you're experiencing the traumatic event and the things that happened to you. This is not easy. This is not for the faint of heart. I'm not saying, oh, it's a breeze and you take one session and you'll be done. It took me weeks of sessions, months of sessions, and it took me facing some of the most traumatic events of my life in my childhood. So you're basically reliving the event, refeeling the emotions, refeeling the anxiety, the pain, the fear of those times, and the vibration. In my case, because the auditory stimulation didn't work, the vibrations stimulated my brain while I'm reliving this memory. And the whole premise of EMDR is to help that memory transition from the emotional side of your brain to the logical side. Because when it's on the emotional side, every time you think of it or something reminds you of it, it brings up an emotional reaction. You have anger, you have sadness, you have fear, you have an array of emotions. So if you're able to transfer that emotion, you're not getting rid of the memory. Let's start there. But if you transfer the memory from the emotional side to the logical side, you're able to process the event, the trauma. You're able to understand it. You're able to accept it, and you're able to move forward. And that's what it was able to happen to me. Now I can talk about the traumatic events, and since they're no longer a part of the emotional side of my brain, they don't trigger an emotional response. I can talk about the things that happened in my life without any crying, without any sadness, without any fear, without any anxiety or depression coming up, man. It's wonderful. Like, EMDR works. I don't know 100% on how it works. I just know that it does work. And because it does work and it's a fantastic therapeutic tool, I want to share it with everyone to let you guys know that there are tools available to you that you may not know about. I didn't know EMDR existed. If you told me EMDR, it sounds like EDM music. I would think it's just a branch of that genre. But it's fantastic. And again, because it's fantastic and because the proof is in the pudding, I've done it. I've seen the results. I want to share it with you people. But it is very intense. You know, you can expect to experience all the same emotions that you experienced during the traumatic event, but at least this time it's going to lead to eventual healing. Like, pain is pain, but pain can be used for good. Pain is to let you know that, like, hey, there's danger around the corner, or there's trauma ahead. But in this situation, you can use that pain for good, because if you experience it again while your brain is being stimulated, either through the pings and auditorily, or through the vibrations of the paddles, and there may be other ways too, I don't know about it, but for me, those are the two ways. But your brain gets stimulated, and you're able to heal. Again, I don't know 100% of how it works. I just know that it does. It's provided me with immense healing, fantastic healing, and it felt great. So I just want to tell you guys, EMDR is amazing. My Latino accent came out for a second. But EMDR is amazing. I would definitely suggest that you Google and find a therapist near you, the licensed therapist that specializes in EMDR. And it's a great tool, and I suggest you use it. Go after it. It's going to be great. It's going to be intense. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope. You're going to feel wonderful afterwards, and you'll appreciate the fact that you went through it, okay? Again, if you want to be healed from any past drama, you have to face the traumatic event. Do not run from it. Do not hide from it. Do not try to numb yourself from it or distract yourself from it. Face your problems. That's the only way that we're going to receive true healing. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, please follow me on all my social media channels. Please sign on to my mailing list for my website at sharethepositivity.com. Subscribe to this channel. Please leave a thumbs up on this video, like this video, leave comments below, share the video. Please help get the word out. EMDR is a great tool, and we want everybody to know about it. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.